You talked about your pride wearing the GB vest in Lausanne. When are we going to see you pulling on a GB vest again?
I don't know if I'll be. Well, I won't be racing at London 2012, so I won't be wearing a GB vest at the London Olympics.
Cycling jersey?
There won't be a cycling jersey on me. I mean, it's a great question, and it's one that I've been toying with the last couple of years. I think what it boils down to is I love Ironman. I love Ironman too much to give it up. And if I was to pursue another sport, I would have to forego Ironman training and Ironman racing, and I'm not prepared to do that.
Question? Gentleman over there.
Can you just tell us a bit more about your role at the end of your races and the significance of that?
Thank you so much. Great question. For those that don't know, at the end of a race, I'll cross the finish line and I'll log roll myself across the finish line, and everybody thinks it's because I've fallen over. It hasn't. It isn't. The reason I do that is in memory of a triathlete called John Blaze, and John was a very, very good amateur athlete in America, and in 2004 he contracted motor neuron disease, a disease called ALS. And for those that don't know, everyone that contracts ALS will die. It's a death sentence. And John, in 2005, raced and finished the World Championships in Kona whilst suffering from ALS. And he said to people before the race, "I'll finish or you'll have to roll me across the line." And at the end of the race, he rolled himself across the line. And John sadly passed away in 2007. And I made a promise to his parents, whom I met at the end of Kona 2007, that in honour of his memory, I would log roll myself across the line at the end of every race. So that's why I do that. Hopefully in doing so it raises awareness for a cause that's so incredibly important to me and close to my heart. John was an inspiration, and I hope that I can in log rolling myself across the line, I can ensure that his memory and his strength and his courage carries on.
Thanks, Chrissie. Got time for just one more question, lady just there.
Hiya. In an Ironman, it's as mental as it is physical. I'm doing my first Ironman this year, and to date I've only done marathons, and I like to break it down mentally in my head how to do it. So I was just wondering if you mentally break down, apart from the obvious swim, bike and run, break it down to be able to complete it, and how you mentally...
Yeah, that's a really, really great question. You all have your logbooks with your swim, bike and your run, and you clock your hours and your volume and things like that. But I think one aspect that a lot of people neglect is the mental training, and I think it's as important as the physical training, coupled with rest, recovery and whatever. But the mental training aspect is so incredibly important, and 30k into the marathon on race day, it's too late to be thinking, oh no, my mind's not strong enough to carry my body through. So yeah, there are definitely mental strategies and techniques that I use to develop that mental strength. The first one I alluded to before is learning to hurt and learning to suffer in training. And I think some of us are scared to push those limits. But when we race, it hurts, and you need to have the confidence that you've developed in training that you can endure and overcome it. So first of all, I'd say learn to hurt, learn to suffer within limit in training. I have a mantra, just a very simple one, couple of words that I keep repeating over and over again. But I also write it on my race wristband, and it's written on my water bottle. So that's something that I can look at, particularly when I'm on the bike. I also carry a bank of kind of positive images in my mind, both race-related and others. Another thing I do, like you said, is break the race down into portions. It's so important not to get carried away, not to think about, oh no, in an hour's time I'm going to feel like this, in 3 hours' time I'm going to be feeling like this. Try and stay in the moment and getting the maximum amount out of your body at any given time, rather than thinking how you're going to feel down the road. But breaking it up into sections, into 10Ks or into the next aid station, or I'm going to get to that tree, that really makes it more manageable, and particularly on a multi-loop. So say the marathon is a 3-loop course, or that makes it, I think, mentally a lot easier. Another thing I like to do is before the race, I like to bike and run some of the course with an iPod in my ear, and downloaded I have some special songs, and then I identify landmarks with those songs, so that when I'm racing I hear those songs in my head, and that kind of gives me a boost. One last thing I think is important is visualization, and it's a word that's used a lot, but I really do incorporate it into my training. So before a race, I've already gone through the race in my mind. What will happen if my goggles get knocked off? What will happen if I lose my nutrition? All these type of things. How am I going to feel here and here and here? And really, just take time to sit through and go through each step in your head. So I just find that quite calming, but also I think preparation gives you peace of mind and gives you confidence.
Ladies and gentlemen, fastest Ironman distance ever, fastest official Ironman race ever, fastest ever at Kona, 3-time world champion, 10 out of 10 Ironman started, 10 out of 10 Ironman finished, 10 out of 10 Ironman first place. Please show your appreciation, Chrissie Wellington.